Good evening. Good evening. My name is Shirley T. Burke, and I run a business called Esteem Institute. I work with and teach women and sometimes men on how to feel better in their business suit as well as their birthday suit. And let me tell you, it's all about self-esteem. All about self-esteem, self-love, self-caring. It matters. Good evening again. I'm glad you all tuned in this evening. This is our 5th show. And I think next week will be our last show. We've been having lots of fun, and we intend to have some fun tonight too. I am so glad you all tuned in, and if possible, I would like for you to call in with questions if you find that there's something you want to know that our guest is talking about tonight. We have insurance and we have law. I want to know how does that tie in together. I think it just might fit real well. I would like to introduce you to our guests this evening, and I love to have them introduce themselves, so I won't tell you about them, not all, but just a little bit. And I'm going to have them introduce themselves right now as soon as you have the cameras on, you guys. Y'all want to start out to introduce yourself, Jim?
Okay. I'm Jim Ritchie. I'm a financial advisor with Capital Financial Solutions here in Richmond, and I specialize in financial planning for people really of all ages, but particularly those that are close to retirement and are in retirement.
Mm-hmm. And because Jim just spoke, I think I need to read something for you, Jim. You think so?
Yeah.
It says, Capital Financial Solutions, LLC, is independent of John Hancock and Cigna Investors, Incorporated, offering John Hancock insurance products. Securities, investment advisory services offered through Cigna Investors, Incorporated, a registered investment advisor. Member, if I say this right, FINRA? FINRA. Member of FINRA, SIPC. It's at 8816 Six Forks Road, Suite 301, Raleigh, North Carolina. 27615 is the zip code. And if you want to call for information, it is 919-546-0400. And I don't know if I need to do it again later, let me know. But this is legal things that we need to do before Jim can talk too much. Jim, thanks for coming today.
Sure, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Now, I wonder who's that over on the other side. You know that man over there?
Yeah, we've met a couple of times.
Couple of times. I've met him
3 or 4 maybe. Yeah.
Introduce yourself, Ed.
Yeah, my name is Ben Thomas, and I'm an agency owner with Farmers Insurance. Our office is in the West End on West Broad Street between Gaskins and Cox Road. And my wife and I have the agency. We run the agency and we sell insurance and help people with their insurance needs, and homeowners, automobile insurance, life insurance, commercial insurance, things like business owners policies and workers' compensation, pretty much across the board type insurance agency.
Yeah, across the board. Yeah, you named a lot of things there.
Sure did.
You named a lot of things. Now I wonder, how do I know y'all? Can y'all tell them how I know y'all?
Well, we have a little...
Notice I said y'all?
Y'all, yeah. We have a nice little networking group that we meet every other week. There's 6 or 7 of us at a time that get together and try to help each other grow our businesses.
Yes. And I think that's critical. I think that's for any of the business people out there. I think that's very critical. And I think we learned something. I learned something to say out loud at the last meeting we had, because the young man that's coming on later taught me that. And what it was is that, even though you refer to somebody, somebody might refer somebody to you where they can't use your services, but something you do for them, they can use that. It might not be the referral itself, but something might come out of it.
Yep, sure.
So it's really important to get out. If you have a business, you need to develop a relationship. Because I'm writing this book called Networking is for Wires. Not for human beings. Networking is a relationship building thing.
Yes,
we network wires, not people. And that's why people hate us so. And who you go into an organization and say, network. Well, you can't do it. You got to build relationships.
Sure.
Now, I'd like for you all to tell us a little bit. One of the things I want to know, and we don't interview ahead of time because I'm learning with the audience, but we did talk about this a little bit, not very much at our networking group. What's the difference between you all? Both of you all are insurance people. So either one of y'all would want to answer that, or both.
Well, I'll talk a little bit, and Ben can add on to it. My focus, I really don't do anything with property and casualty. So my focus is all on individuals. It's life, disability, long-term care type of coverage. So I don't do homeowners, I don't do automobiles, that type of thing. So I'm dealing almost strictly with individuals. Although I do some business owner work when it comes to key man, key employee type of coverage and buy sell.
I know the key. Yes, I remember that key because
Key
I used to,
person.
I used to be in HR, so that hit a nerve. Okay, key person insurance. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So that the long-term care. I'm going to ask you something about that a little bit later because that should be something of interest to people that are having a lot of birthdays.
Yes.
Okay. Very good.
They do keep coming.
Hopefully
So
so.
that's good. That's a good
Yeah,
thing.
thing. Don't start none of
That's
it
a
this
good
evening.
thing.
'Cause the best
Beats
keep
the
coming.
alternative.
I'm not
Yes,
complaining.
indeed. Ben, do you want to say something about the differences?
Yeah, about the only thing that where we converge in the common ground with what we do is life insurance.
Life insurance.
Yeah, and we both do life insurance and life insurance planning. But I'm primarily, my wife and I primarily are on the property and casualty side. That's where our main emphasis is, with helping people protect all their assets, such as their home and their automobiles, and make sure they have the right coverages.
The right
You know,
coverages.
well, what we found all the time is that people don't really understand what any coverages are
Yes.
with insurance policies, and everybody has them. We all have homeowners, we all have car insurance, but if you ask the average person, well, what do these coverages mean? Well, that's just what the last guy gave me.
Yeah.
And that's about all they know. So
Yes,
it's an
yeah.
education process from our side when we try to talk to somebody, because we don't want everybody going with the cheapest, most minimal coverage, because that's not the best coverage for you.
Maybe.
Probably not.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
probably not.
Okay.
And when I'm talking to clients, one of the things I review is their homeowners and their automobile coverage, because if you're trying to protect your financial assets,
Then
the coverage that you have on an automobile and home is critical, because if you have an accident and you're underinsured, they're going to come after your retirement assets.
true.
So that's part of my job, and then I would be referring people over to Ben or their agents to
That's
correct
interesting.
whatever problems they might be
That's
having.
interesting. The thing about I wrote down property. What I had someone on the show a few weeks back, and her parents had 73 policies.
Gosh.
And her business is called Boom of Three, and what that is about is people finding out about what goes on with their parents and stuff. Have a book to write all this stuff down. Who would have known, if her parents weren't living? Nobody would have thought that somebody had 73 policies. So what she had to do was to call to find out if they were all active. They weren't, but quite a number were.
Right.
Do you run into have you run into any situation now? 73.
73 is about, that's a little more than I've ever seen in one place before.
Yeah.
Much.
Yeah.
But we like to encourage people, because it's easier to deal with one specific agency too. When you have your homeowners, your automobile insurance, and your life
With one
insurance.
company.
If you have a business, to have your business insurance there too, and your workers' compensation. It's kind of a convenience thing. Plus, everybody knows where to go if the wrong thing happens.
Right.
So and you have the same person to take care of you in those situations, no matter what happens. If something happens to your automobile, something happens in your home, or your business, we can still help pull it all together even from a claims standpoint. And we don't necessarily get too awfully involved with claims, but believe me, we get involved with claims and handling claims when there's a disconnect sometimes,
Yes.
or there's a time when people don't line up exactly right and they can't see them at the right place, and you have to do all sorts of different things to make it work. But 73 is a bit much. I think 5, 6, 7. That's a good number, But,
Yeah, but that's like people knowing. Have you run into the situation with your business where people don't know that parents or somebody have?
oh, sure.
Okay.
Sure, and they have no idea.
Oh, no idea.
And very, very, I think very few people actually keep accurate records. Really, I mean, you may have them, and they're somewhere, and as long as you're in the picture,
Yes.
you know where to put your hands on them.
Yes.
But once something happens to you, and maybe you're in a hospital, you have another situation, then nobody knows where to go.
That was what that other girl's business was all about, is to bring that about.
Sure.
What people know about that.
They need a good financial advisor then.
They should. They should have a very good financial advisor, and I can name you one or two.
You can give the name of one. I'm going to ask you if you know of any funny stories later about some of your cases and stuff. All right. You want to share some more information about your business?
Well, I was just going to kind of go on with what Ben was talking about, because one of the things that I do, my primary focus is financial planning. And
What is that?
Financial planning really is, it's a process, and what I do is called holistic financial planning, is where I'm looking at everything.
Okay.
Everything from cash flow to debt management to risk management with insurance, tax planning, estate planning, retirement planning, college education planning, anything that impacts you financially.
Okay.
That all gets rolled into one big picture, because everybody has a lot of things they'd like to accomplish. And in a lot of cases, there's not enough resources to do them all. So we have to go through a process where we're goal setting, identify what the clients really would like to accomplish, take a really good look at what they're doing and what they can do. And then my job is to come back after I analyze all of that with a strategy, basically a step-by-step roadmap on how to get them to where they want to go.
Have you ever worked with a person that didn't want to do all of that?
Well,
Because when you call all of that, that's the person's business. You know what I'm saying?
there's a lot of homework involved in what I do,
Yeah.
and really, the process really only works if you do it all,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what I have to get a buy-in from the clients, because if they're not going to give me all the picture, then I can't really make good recommendations to them, and then because financial planning is kind of like medical practice. If I'm charging a fee for a financial plan or financial planning work, I actually have a fiduciary responsibility back to my clients. So if I don't pick up something that I should, or I don't make a recommendation where I should have, I actually can be held financially responsible by their children, or by It gets kind of scary.
We have to read this.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I have to have malpractice insurance just like the doctors do, basically, errors and omissions. So it's not something that's ever happened, but it's an industry where we have to be really good at what we do. And just for example, if someone, we're talking about long-term care a minute ago, if someone probably should have long-term care and I don't recommend that they evaluate it or take a look at it, and they go into a nursing home and all their assets are used up, the kids can come back and sue the financial advisor for the inheritance that they didn't get.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh, now that is information.
Not that we want anybody to do that, but
yeah.
that's the liability that we have.
I don't know that people know this. Say that again.
Well, if you're dealing with, and this is where there are different types of financial advisors, but if you're dealing with one that's charging a fee,
yes.
then that adds a level of responsibility that people that don't charge a fee don't have, because basically if you're not charging anything, you don't really have any responsibility for the information you provide.
I understand.
So it's, on a fee-based planning side, we do have to be very careful and very thorough with what we do, because like I said, it's if we recommend they do it and they don't do it, then that's fine.
Yeah, I understand.
But we have to document that we made that recommendation.
And they denied it or didn't accept it.
And I've asked clients to sign a disclosure letter saying that, it's been recommended that we get long-term care insurance. We've opted not to do that. We're not going to hold Jim responsible if something happens down the road. And I require that if I'm going to continue working with a client.
Awesome.
So.
Because I'm one of those people that I don't mind you working with the bulk of my money, but I don't want you messing with my other stuff.
Well, and it doesn't all have to be in the same place, but at the same time, you need to be aware of what all the risk that you have financially, and that's what the job of the advisor is to help you understand, okay, if this happens, this is the likely outcome. Is that an outcome that you can live with? And if it's not an outcome that you can live with, then okay, then this is what we need to do to address that. And that's part of the process. And then really, the process is ongoing because things are going to change in everybody's lives. From year to year, your goals might change, your family situation might change. You might get a new job. You might be unemployed. The tax laws change every other week or so. Estate tax laws change, as Scott will talk about. So we have to monitor that process. Basically, it's an ongoing process. It's not a one-time event. So,
very interesting. Very interesting. We hear insurance, and I guess as just ordinary folks, we just take insurance as insurance. That's the reason I want y'all to share what the difference was, and there is a big difference. Ben,
to go hand in hand with what he's saying about protecting all your assets and then accumulating your assets and then protecting your assets. We get calls quite frequently from folks who have said they have had a relationship with their financial advisor and they want to increase their liability limits on their automobile. And also, most of the time, they recommend an umbrella.
Umbrella policy.
An umbrella policy, which is a policy that goes over your, like an umbrella, goes over the liability that you have on your automobile policy, as well as the liability coverages that you have on your home. So that if that bad thing does happen, which is really why we have insurance anyway, is that what if that happens, whatever that is. But if that bad thing happens and there is liability on your part and you're involved in a lawsuit, that you have money to protect what you've accumulated through an insurance policy, because that's what insurance is for. It's to protect you and not to have you go in the hole. So if you have an umbrella over top of everything else, then you're that much better off in the case of a judgment against you, because things can happen. That's why they call them accidents.
Things do happen.
That's why they call them accidents. We don't plan those things, but they happen.
And in reality, the umbrellas are one of the cheaper
Absolutely
insurance policies to own.
Very
it's
inexpensive.
very inexpensive to do that. You can significantly add to your coverage.
I think that's valuable information to listeners. Where if you can't use it yourself, you might know somebody that can. That's why we try to have people come on with various things that you all are talking about, because it's just not something you hear all the time.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? It's not information that you get unless you go. Some people have it in their office, but most of the people that need it is not going to have off at 11 o'clock in the day where they can go to one of those sessions. So that's why we appreciate you all coming and sharing. Now I'm going to get, because we know each other just a little bit, how come people do business with you and your wife? Can you tell a little bit about that? I know it's a trade secret.
Well,
but that's all right. If you're willing to let that secret out.
I don't know. It's we may not want to talk about all that. But no, really.
I love it. I love what you do, because we all have a reason why people work with us, no matter what business we're in. One
of the reasons, the thing that what Shirley's talking about is we've always joked about this, because my wife, in addition to being an insurance agent, and it's our agency together, but she's an excellent cook, and she has these awesome apple muffins.
Apple
muffins, and it's a secret recipe, so don't even ask.
Don't even ask.
Don't even ask what's in it, but it is the best. And she likes to make those, and she takes them around. She took a bunch around yesterday, and takes them to our best clients and to some of our clients and to people who refer business to us too, because on a regular basis. But I'm not saying that's the only reason that people do business with Ben and Melinda Thomas at Farmers Insurance, but that's one reason right there, and it is a very, very good reason. It's a tasty reason.
I think it's a very personal touch that matters.
Well,
that's what people forget. It's
and we like to be personal with our clients. We're small by design. We don't have a desire really to become 25, 35, 50 people. We're a small office, but we handle everybody that's our clients personally, and we want to take care of them, and it works. People like to be taken care of by people.
Yes,
and it's a relationship business. It really is.
That's true. That's true. And one thing that reason I wanted him to tell that, because he talked about one day she didn't have time to make something. And I think she went by somewhere and picked up something. What did they tell her?
Oh, she went by and got some really nice chocolate chip cookies or something, and took them into the office, and they said, "What are these things? Where are the muffins? Don't ever come here with these cookies again." She spoiled them all.
Yes, she has.
But it's very good.
Jim, not Jim, but Ben, give your agency again and telephone number, because I think it's been showing up on the...
Sure, yeah. It's Farmers Insurance Agency. We own the agency out in the West End, and it's 270-6264, and it's right on West Broad Street. It's in the Forum office complex, which is right beside Bed Bath & Beyond, and right off of Gaskins Road, but it's on West Broad.
Headed west is on the right-hand side?
It's on the, yes it is, on the right-hand side, headed toward Innsbrook. So.
Jim, if they want to hear more from you, what do we do?
Yeah, I have a local number. I'm not sure if we're putting up the Raleigh office or not. My local number is 665-1522, and I'm right up the street from Ben and the West Air complex. So we're all kind of in the same neighborhood.
Awesome.
That's right.
And I have a website too, if anybody would ever like to go, and it has a lot of resources. That's www.cjritchie.com. It's real simple. But I have a lot of articles, calculators, even can get tax forms on the website. And if you want to read about a certain subject, if it's tax law or estate planning or what's a Roth IRA, you can go in. It's just got lists and lists of articles in there that anybody can just go in and read.
Okay. Ben, do you have a website?
I do. It's farmersinsurance.com /BThomas1.
B. Thomas 1. Give that number again.
270-6264.
Okay. How about give your number again?
665-1522.
And you're with who?
Capital Financial Solutions.
All right, gentlemen.
Can I sing the farmer's jingle?
Oh, Lord.
No, I don't want to do that. I'm just
We're
kidding.
going to start something.
I'm just kidding.
This is how he is at our meetings now. I can tell you this is how he is. Well, see, you said it ought to make you sing.
No, I really was just kidding.
I know.
I think I was saying.
I see, he's spread of it. Gentlemen, I appreciate y'all coming. I'd like for you to stay and let the audience know that you'll still be here if they think of questions that they may have based on what you've said.
Sure.
And I really appreciate y'all coming down tonight because I know you all are busy people and I appreciate it so much.
Well, thank you, Shirley.
Pleasure. Thanks
Because
for having
we
us.
learned something tonight. We learned something. Very good. Very good. All right. So we're getting ready to switch. We got another young man that's going to come in, and he's a legal man. He's a lawyer. So we want to see what he got to say, see if he can find any holes in what these gentlemen said about insurance. I doubt if that's going to be the case. But he's part of that networking group too. So we just making sure that we can bring information to you that is pertinent. And insurance is a real important part of our lives. If you just paid attention, you know that this is true. It is real important in our lives. And some of having 73 policies versus having 1 or 2 is a big deal. Is a real big deal. All right, we're going to take over again from right here, and we're just making some switches. We're switching up just a little bit, so that we can be sure that you can see everybody that's up here. But please, our telephone number, if you want to call in, is 915-5202. 915-5202. And we welcome your calls. You're welcome to call in with questions related to the young men that were here. And so now we're going to take you to, we're going to have this young man introduce himself. He is part of that networking group too. They're trying to get this camera stuff straight there, but we're keeping it real. Yes, you are. There you are. Tell our audience who you are.
Hey everybody, my name is Scott Golightly, and as Shirley has said, I am a lawyer. I've got my own law firm. It's Golightly Mulligan. We're in the West End too with Jim and Ben in that area. And it's myself and a brilliant lady by the name of Michelle Mulligan, so it's just the two of us lawyers. And we have a paralegal, so we keep it pretty lean. And I'm really excited to be here, Shirley. Thanks so much for inviting me out.
Thanks for coming.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Yep, we decided that we was going to have fun.
That's right.
Yep,
keeping it real.
Keeping it real.
That's right.
And that's what I like about the group. We keep it real and
We
support each other.
Yes, ma'am.
We've done several things together, going to other networking groups as a group and planning some things for the neighborhood. And that's what I like about that group. Everybody seemed to have a desire to be of value to others.
That's exactly right.
And that's not the norm for lawyers that people normally talk about, is
right.
it?
No, lawyers have a bad rep.
Yeah, they have a bad rep.
I'm trying to change it one person at a time.
Well, I'm telling you, you really do. And that's what I've been so impressed with in terms of how you express yourself and how you like to work with your clients. And that's been educational to me in hearing how you feel about, not being able to sleep when he has certain cases. He said he can't turn it loose when he has certain cases. Yeah. Tell us about the work you do. Tell us about it.
Right now my firm focuses on really, we like to call it planning for uncertain times. I mean, we help businesses and individuals plan for an uncertain future. We really focus on wills and trust drafting and planning. My partner Michelle handles more of the litigation side, so when things really go bad in business or real estate, she'll go to court for you and usually do defense work. But where I earn most of my money, if you will, as a lawyer, is in the trust and estates planning area.
Trust and estates.
Yeah, similar to what Ben and Jim were talking about on the financial and insurance side. You need a lawyer oftentimes to help you execute the strategy with legal documents like wills and trusts and powers of attorney. So that's what I really focus on is I get together and am part of the team with Jim and Ben, and they'll bring me in to help them get everything down in writing. And I try not to use too much legalese, but we have to use a little or we couldn't charge those excessive fees. Yeah, it's a trick of the trade for you guys.
Yeah, I understand. I understand.
That's right.
But I understand also that from some of the things that we've talked about in our session, that you go a little bit above and beyond. And I know you probably don't know what I'm talking about, but it's got to do with some, we were talking about some forms and things that, like living wills and trusts and stuff like that. Could you talk a little bit about those things? Do you deal with that?
Yeah, I do. I mean, most of my business is I have a married couple with young children come to me, and they haven't done any legal planning yet, Shirley T. They haven't. They know that they need to do something. They know they need to provide for their children in the event, God forbid, something happens to both of them. True. So what I'll do is I work with the husband and wife ordinarily, and we do wills that take care of not only their estate, but most importantly, the will is, you might not know this, but the will is the only document that is allowed to name a guardian for your minor children.
Really?
That's
it.
I
have never heard that before.
You cannot do it in any other document other than a will. Now, people don't know this, so you've got to provide for the guardianship, because if you don't, then you're going to have family members perhaps coming out of the woodwork when you pass away trying to take control of who's going to raise that child.
So that's 18 years old, right?
18
if the child
years
is
old.
under 18.
You've got to have a guardian appointed, and people don't know. Well, they know that they need to do something, but I bet they don't know that the will's the only document you can do it. You can't fill out a form at your bank.
Really?
You gotta get a will done, right? So that's my entry, if you will, to getting this planning done.
Yeah.
And then from there, I say, well, look, guys, the will is great when you pass away, but what happens if you're still with us but you can't make decisions? And that's when we do powers of attorney.
Okay.
So yes, ma'am. A power of attorney appoints an agent to act on your behalf when you're still alive. Now think about it that way, Shirley. The power of attorney works until you pass away.
Okay. Yep.
When you pass away, the power of attorney is worthless.
Okay.
Now the will decides what happens.
And I'm sure a lot of people don't know it's worthless. They think it lasts. They've signed this, so this is in order.
I hear that all the time, Shirley. They're like, I've got a power of attorney from my mother who passed, and I said, well, you can put that in the trash. The power of attorney is no longer relevant. What's your mom's will say? And they say, oh my goodness.
There's no such thing as a power of attorney after somebody's dead.
That's correct.
That is plain.
Yeah, that's great.
That is plain.
Do you think we're going to get a telephone call today? I'm counting on at least
I
one
hope somebody wrote it down at least.
Yeah.
And my hope also that you will tell others after you heard this, you might have it in order at your house, but you might have some kin people who don't have it. Oh my goodness.
Look at that. Thank you very much for calling.
That goes.
You got to ask for it,
Let's
right?
see. Yes, hold on. Hello?
Hi, I was calling for the attorney.
Okay.
Hey there.
And the one thing that I wanted to ask is about children with disabilities.
Children disability. Okay.
Okay, sure, go ahead.
And trust for children with disabilities.
Sure, a special needs trust, often called a supplemental trust.
Yes.
Sure, yeah, I've done those. We often incorporate those in our will. But do you have a specific fact scenario you want to run by me, or do you just want me to talk generally about the special needs or supplemental trust?
Well, I know that, with children with autism and things of that nature, but I really don't know how to go about really setting something up for a child.
Right. Well, keep in mind.
So in general, yeah, I would need that.
Yeah, let me go through real quickly some general basics. Okay, let's just talk about a normal child, no special need issue. What we're doing with planning is if the parents are both gone and the child is under the age of 18 or 21 or whatever age you choose, you can build a trust for that child in the event both parents pass away, and that trust will manage money for that child over the period of time until they reach the age that you've decided they should get a check outright, okay? That can be anything over 18. So that's a typical children's or minors trust. Now, with a special needs trust, what we're concerned about there is that child has disability, maybe entitled to Social Security disability income or some other kind of governmental assistance. And what happens is, if this child is entitled to a big chunk of money, then they're not going to qualify for those kinds of governmental assistance benefit plans. So what you need to do is make sure you build a special needs or supplemental trust that does not interfere with the government benefits, but still allows them to be taken care of with that's what we call it, supplemental planning or supplemental trust. It's to say, okay, here are your government needs that the government's going to help us with, but we don't want this special needs child to have access to a bunch of money that's going to disqualify them, so the trust has to have special magic language so that it doesn't interfere with government benefits. Does that make sense?
Is that what you take care of, that special?
We do.
Would you also need to have a person to be a power of attorney over that child?
Typically speaking, until the child reaches the age of 18, they need a guardian that's appointed for them. Parents usually act as their guardian. Powers of attorney, well, keep in mind, I mean, we're mixing a little bit of terms here. Powers of attorney are really for acting legally on behalf of another. Until you're over the age of 18 in Virginia, you're a minor. You're incapacitated really to do you can't enter into contracts, you can't open bank accounts, you can't buy a car. So you really don't need necessarily a power of attorney for a child, but you are going to need a guardian to make sure that child's needs are being met, both medically and financially.
Under 18?
Under 18.
Okay.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for calling. You have any other
Thank you.
questions?
Nope, that was it. Thank you.
All right, good luck.
Thank you.
We got one, Shirley.
Yeah. Yes,
Just got to ask.
Yes, we did. That was interesting because, again, power of attorney, you said you don't need it because it's a minor.
Right. Yeah, I mean, typically when you think about powers of attorney, you're thinking about banking, taxes.
Yeah, somebody that's over 18, maybe if you have a child over 18.
Right. If you have a child over 18 that might have special needs, then I mean, perhaps there need be an appointed agent to act on that child's behalf for legal matters. Because until you're 18, you can't legally do much of anything but get in trouble.
That's
You really
that's
can't.
not legal though.
Yeah, you shouldn't. But I mean, you can't you can't enter into a contract until you're up the age of majority, they call it, or above a minor.
Yeah. I think that's a very good question because I have a lot of friends who have special need kids, and people don't I don't know, we just seem to act as if we're gonna live forever.
Yeah, that's right. You don't try to think about planning until you need it, and then sometimes
it's too late.
Yeah, sometimes it's too late. So you've got to really be and building on what Jim and Ben said, which is very important. I mean, you really need to be proactive. I mean, you're responsible for your own planning, guys. I mean, it's not going to come to you. We don't do door-to-door sales much anymore, right? You've got to pick up the phone and make the call and talk to people like Jim and Ben and myself, or a lawyer that practices in my area, and get this planning done now while you're of sound mind, and you can make good decisions, right? Because you want to do it now, not later when you're under stress. You make decisions when things are calm, when there's no storm around you. If you wait until the storm is around you, you're going to make a decision you may regret.
Now, as an attorney, I always suggest that people shop around for whatever their needs are.
Sure.
Interview several people, because it's just like anything else. If you don't mesh together there, it's not a good, it's trust.
Right.
I guess is what I'm saying. You need to trust your agents, whether it's insurance, attorney, or doctor, whatever. Do you, if someone came to you, do you offer I know you get paid for what you do, but do you have seminars, anything where people can come to hear what they need, and then if they want you to, if they want to become your client, do you do things like that?
I do, Shirley T.
Okay.
Yeah, on my website, it's www.golightlylaw.com.
And that is his real name.
It's my real name. Golightlylaw.com, and I hope they've had it up there, maybe how to spell it, but it's spelled just like it sounds.
And Golightly, yes.
I don't do as many seminars as I'd like to do, but I do them about once a quarter, and I use my website to announce when those are going to be coming up, what the topics are going to be. And I really do a pretty good job drawing a decent crowd for that. We like to keep it between 20 and 30 folks because I like to keep an open kind of dialogue going. And for folks who come to the seminar, they get a free hour consultation. Really? Yep, they'll get a free hour consultation.
Give that website again?
Yeah, it's www.golightly, Golightly, law.com. And I'd love to have you come to the seminar. I mean, I don't know, you blush when you talk about yourself, but I feel like I do a pretty good job at those. I get good responses, and I think we're saying some pretty important things.
Yeah. Old minister at Meredith said, "He that tuteth not his own home, the same shall not be tuteth."
I
so
think
you
that's,
don't hear to toot that home.
I think
it's
that's
your
right.
home. That's
I appreciate
right.
that.
But I'd like for the audience to know that I didn't even know that you had those seminars. That's nothing that we've talked about at the at our networking. But I think that's critical, and I don't hear many people hearing it. They might be having it, but I think that's a good service. And then you notice he said he will provide some services if you are interested. Because you're attending the seminar.
That's right. Yeah. Shirley, like we talked about it, I made the comment about taking the initiative. If you take the initiative to come to one of my seminars, I mean, that's good, right? You took the initiative, you took action to do something, so you should get a reward for that. And the reward that I like to say is, you're going to get an hour, a free hour of my time because you came, and I'm thanking you for attending the seminar, thanking you for taking action. And if I do a good job by you, which I expect I will, you'll tell your friends, and they'll tell their friends, and it's good for business and good for the community to educate.
And if they have taken care of everything that you've already mentioned and stuff, but they need services later, I think it's still good too. They would know you and have respect enough to handle. Tell them. I know you like that, what you're talking about right now, but what other services do you provide?
Yeah, I worked at a big firm downtown for several years doing litigation, which is trial work. I didn't really love litigation. I found we were tearing each other apart instead of building things together. But it teaches you some pretty important skills when you're litigating business issues. So what I've done is I've opened my practice, and I will help I think I mentioned earlier, we help businesses prepare for, deciding, do I want to be an LLC? Do I want to be a C? There's all kinds of fancy C corporation, S corp. We help them make those decisions. We get them incorporated with what's called the State Corporation Commission. We help them make good decisions about risk mitigation moving forward to protect their business in the event that there's a problem. So it's really on the business development side, helping them plan for risk, helping them maximize profits. My partner Michelle does trial work. She also represents community associations. So you hear about homeowners associations, and she represents the companies that manage the homeowners association. So she's got a bit of a niche practice there. And then we've kind of beat it up already, but I do a lot of the individual estate. We call it estate plan. You don't have to have an estate to do the planning. I mean, a lot of people are put off by that word estate, like you've got to wear a tuxedo all the time. You don't. You have issues you got to deal with. We call it estate planning, but I do wills, trust, and powers of attorney, which kind of all fall under that estate planning kind of category.
Awesome. Well, let's see. I know you love doing the estate more so than anything else.
I do.
But I like what you just said about the working with the litigation and having learned something. Can you talk a little bit about that, what you learned that you can use otherwise?
Yeah, I mean, I worked at a law firm that had about 2,500 business clients, and we only had 20 litigation attorneys. And when you have 2,500 business clients, and you have a lot of different business issues. I mean, we did. That's what I did love about litigation was the variety that we had. I had title insurance dispute on one day. I had a retirement plan dispute another day.
Wow.
I had, we had employment, like you hear about the EEOC and employment claims. We did both defense and plaintiffs work. So when you're doing that, I love the variety. I love the mental challenge of it. It kept me really sharp. And when you're litigating, when you're a litigator or a trial lawyer, the idea we're taught in law school, when you go to trial, you better be the most prepared person in the room. Not the judge, not the jury.
For real.
It better be you. And so to be the most prepared guy in the room or girl, you've got to master the substance of not only the rules of evidence and those things, but you've got to master the substance of what the issue is. Is it an ERISA issue? Is it a Title VII EEOC issue? Is it a title dispute, boundary dispute? I got to know what that is. I got to know what the rules are, and I got to convince the judge that I'm right and the jury that I'm right.
Hey, I love it.
So you learn a lot.
I love it, yeah.
You learn a lot. And I took what I learned from those 7 years, and I've kind of said, well, look, here's what I really liked about it. Here's what I didn't like so much about it. How can I kind of maximize and do what you like to do? Because it's all about being happy, right? I mean, do what you love doing,
Keep
and
it real.
things will work out.
Well, thank you for going into that a little deeper.
My pleasure.
And here's a first for tonight. I think this says Twitter, which I think
look
they
at
a
this.
question for you. We've never had anything from Twitter. I didn't even know the Twitter people were tweeting.
Well, thank you, Twitter sphere.
I didn't know they were tweeting it for this show. This is the bomb.
Let me see. It says, how do you bring it up to your aging parents that it's time to get their estate in order?
I'm telling you, it's a challenge, isn't it?
Yeah. That's a great question. I wish I'd had that in advance, like they do at the debates, so I could prepare and think about it. What I find in my practice, and this is going to be a bit of a downer, but usually something bad has happened within the family structure somewhere, and somebody's had to deal with probating somebody's estate. Somebody's had something break in their family structure, and that's when they call the lawyer, right? We're usually coming in behind and trying to fix things. Now, I've been talking about taking action and being proactive, and I think this is a fair question. What do you do? Well, I mean, here's what you can do. You take your parents and you invite them out to dinner one night, and you say, after dinner, we're going to take you to a seminar. A young lawyer is going to come in and he's going to talk to us about.
That's a good way, neutral. That's a neutral way to
It's a neutral. There's a seminar we've been invited to. There's no charge, and just come. And I understand this lawyer does a decent job. It doesn't have to be me, but if it's me, bring them to a seminar where you're going to learn about wills and trust. I do one that's a will and trust seminar, basics of estate planning, nuts and bolts. Bring them to that, and I tell you what, I will promise you this. They come to one of my seminars, and there's a lot of fantastic estate planning lawyers in Richmond. They come to any seminar that's going to be done. I promise you this, they're going to learn something. They're going to learn at least one thing, probably more. And when they're going to leave there thinking, man, I've got to take some action. Because if they came to the seminar, right, they want to learn some things. And if I'm doing my job, then they're going to say, wow, I learned this. Right now we're not set up right, and man, I got to take action. So that's what I would suggest to the person who gave us this nice tweet.
Find a neutral resource.
Find a neutral resource. Bring them to a seminar. Encourage them to be open-minded and listen. And I think you're going to plant the seed, or they'll plant their own seed, which often harvests the best.
Yes.
The ones you plant yourself tend to grow the best.
Isn't it true?
Yes.
Whoever tweeted that, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to have to make a note of this somewhere.
Yeah, I don't see it. I'm sorry, I don't see a name, but thanks so much for that.
Thanks so much and hopefully this is helpful. And hopefully you will follow through on that. And go to your website,
www.golightlylaw.com, or you can call us at 804-286-1054. It's been fun being on.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. What else you want us to know about?
How much time do we have? Because lawyers can talk forever.
Yeah, I'm going to let the other guys come back up in a few minutes.
And
but if you want something else, what would you suggest for young people? Because people try to think, and not try, people think that you got to be 50 to do a will. They got to have millions of dollars in the bank and stuff. Talk a little bit about that, if you would.
That's a fair question. I think when you're a young person, I'm saying in your accumulation phase, as the financial guys will say, when you're in your 20s and early 30s or even mid 30s, you're busy at work, you're busy raising kids, you're busy taking them to soccer, and you don't really have time to think about the future. What I will say, Virginia law has done a pretty good job at taking care of folks who don't do detailed planning at a very young age. They do a decent job at saying, okay, this person didn't do much planning, here's what we think they would have wanted.
That's what the law takes care of?
That's what the law takes care of that. They're called, when you pass away, it's details, but it's the laws of intestacy or succession. Virginia law does a decent job.
I wonder what that succession meant on some of your, see here, business succession.
Yeah, business succession.
But it also deals with the person.
Yeah, intestate succession. Intestate means when you die without a will. Well, what happens? It begs the question. Well, I died without a will. What's going to happen to my estate? Well, Virginia law has tried to deal with that. And they have what they call it's called the succession, or the canons of succession, where it says, okay, first to this person, then to this person.
Yes.
Virginia law does a decent job. So if you're really, really young and you don't have kids, it'd still be better to be proactive, especially if you're in if you have a decent amount of income and you need to start thinking about taxes. Yeah. You may want to do some planning. It's when you have that child, and I know a lot of late 20-somethings, early 30-somethings with minor kids.
Yes.
You gotta get it done. I don't care how young you are. If you have a minor child, that's if you guys take one thing away from what I'm blabbering about up here, is if you have a minor child, you talk to a lawyer, figure out what you need to do, because you've got to name at least the guardian. That's your job as a parent, and so do that. And so that's really not an age thing. That's more of a caring for your family thing.
Yeah, because we hear a lot of stories. I think it's interesting. Have you ever looked at that show about the will? Where the real, like, Conway Twitty died and somebody else died, and what is happening.
I'm not sure I've seen that show.
Yeah, that's on James Brown. And all of these people, they have the legal stuff about what's going on with them.
I got you.
It is crazy.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. I haven't seen the details.
Yeah,
but a lot of people that die without planning.
Is Tammy Wynette? She's dead, isn't she? Because I think that's one of the people that's supposed to come on her stuff. Supposed to come on this week.
I'll have to check that out. I'm not familiar with it.
Because I think you would learn a lot.
I like learning.
You'll learn a lot. You'll know what you already know. What you said tonight covers a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, we covered a lot of ground.
But I think it's interesting because those people are well known with lots of funds.
Okay.
And their stuff is messed up.
Yeah, I mean, I'll check it out. I'd like to learn more about that.
I just think it's so interesting to see that. Well, I'm going to ask that the other gentleman come back up. We have a few more minutes to go, so those of you that might want to call in, and if you've thought of some questions for the young men that were up here talking about insurance, or the young man that's here that's an attorney, that will be fine. Tell the people to come on in. We're going to set these guys up again. Okay. So that they can, y'all can grab your microphones. I think it's just, y'all might have to share the microphone. Just bring that chair back up.
Do you guys want me off for now? You want me off or stay?
No, yeah, we all up here together
all
right now.
Okay.
Okay. We got some more Twitter questions. Lord have mercy, here we go. Let's see.
Wow, okay. Oh, this is an insurance question.
Okay.
Wedding insurance, what is it? And is it worth it? From Twitter? And I'm going to defer. That sounds like a Ben question to me, perhaps.
Okay.
Ben, you want to take a stab at wedding insurance?
Well, you know, there's
okay,
insurance for everything.
Y'all can pull it around a little bit. Even if they can't see you, Ben, I want them to hear you.
I can get out of here.
Okay. Nope,
That's unfortunate, but that's okay. Wedding insurance.
Let him hold it because the other one will have to share it with him, I think, yeah. Check and make sure that they get the camera so they can get that.
Yeah, Shirley T, the thing about insurance, and I find out more and more every year that I go. Every year that I go further into the business, I find out different things that are available. One of the things that's available that a lot of people don't even think about sometimes is insurance for your wedding party.
Oh my God.
No matter where you have it.
The wedding party.
Yeah. Or you're having an engagement party. You're renting a room somewhere and you're having a band, you're having a DJ. You got to have 100, 200 people there. Well, do you have any liability if something happens there?
I hadn't even thought about that. I know I didn't have one when I got married. I'm glad nothing happened.
Well, you would say, well, sure, you got a liability. Well, or do you? Or well, maybe not. You know, does the facility have insurance on it? Well, they have a certain amount of insurance, maybe.
Interesting.
But what if the wrong thing happens at your wedding party? What if somebody gets hurt and it's your fault?
Yeah. Yes.
Then, guess what? Here comes people like Scott and the other side, and there's litigation, and somebody's going to sue somebody. So yes, there is.
Yeah, that is interesting.
There is coverage available. With farmers, I can actually put an endorsement on your homeowner's policy and take care of the liability part, and even liquor liability.
Really?
Where you're responsible for if you're serving liquor and somebody gets out of hand, or something happens that they're not supposed to happen too. So yes, that sort of thing can happen.
That's a wonderful question.
And it is available.
Because there are a lot of they have bride shows here, so a lot of people get married.
Let me tell you, if there's something going on, there's an insurance policy for it.
Is it?
It really is, and it's amazing. It never ends.
Wow. Is there another question on there? I don't know whether it's insurance or what, but
yeah, there's another.
Sure, let's give that to Jim.
Jim, I'll be the reader. Should I have a separate life insurance policy from the one I have at work?
It's very possible that you should, because in some cases, one of the things that you need to check with is if the policy is portable or not. Because some insurance policies are written through the companies, you can't take them with you if you ever left.
Explain portable. I understand what it is, but a lot of people might not.
Well, it just basically means that you can own it yourself once you leave that job.
Yes.
And a lot of firms have policies that you can't take with you. So if you're relying strictly on life insurance provided by the company, and then you leave, and perhaps you've picked up some sort of health condition that might prevent you from getting new insurance, and you're kind of in a bad spot at that point in time. So, yes, you definitely should. And disability is also another one that you should really take a look at, because especially if you're higher paid or if you have a large bonus, a lot of the employer-provided disability policies don't cover the bonus.
Really?
So they might only cover, say, 65% or 60% of the salary, but if your income is salary plus bonus, it may not cover the bonus part. So if you're disabled...
are there insurances that do cover bonus? Okay, so that means they need to shop around if they are bonus people.
Yeah, and that's one of those things in an evaluation of someone's risk portfolio is looking at, and a lot of people don't understand what their benefits have.
That's
true.
And
they think, and a lot of times they're less expensive, and sometimes they're less expensive because of some limitations, and you have to understand what the limitations are. Make sure that really works for your situation.
So one of the things I got out of all three of you need to check stuff out. You need to become informed about legal matters and insurance matters, not just because somebody explained a policy to you. You need to know the whole thing.
Shirley T, life is really simple sometimes. Life is really simple unless something happens.
For
And
real.
when something happens, that's when you need to be prepared,
Yeah.
not afterwards, right,
Yeah.
Scott?
That's
That's what
exactly
we're
right.
talking
Yeah.
about.
Gotta be
You do
proactive.
A certain amount of things ahead of time.
Take responsibility for your own financial life and get
Yeah.
out there and educate yourself and make some good decisions.
Interesting.
Mhm.
That is so interesting. I am hoping that you all were listening real close. And these gentlemen can give their telephone numbers again and websites if you want to right now, because we got a few more minutes, but I'd like for you to have time to say it slowly and repeat it.
We'll start with Ben.
Yeah, Ben Thomas is my name. Farmers Insurance Agency in the West End. And our phone number is 270-6264, 270-6264.
Okay?
And I'm Jim Ritchie with Capital Financial Solutions in the West End. My office number is 665-1522, and my website is www.cjritchie.com. And my email address, if anybody just wants to send me an email, is jritchie@capfs.com.
Spell Ritchie.
Ritchie.
Okay?
Okay, everybody. Scott Golightly, Golightly. The law firm is Golightly, Mulligan, and like these guys, I'm in the far West End. You can reach me on the telephone, 286-1054. You can get me on the web, www.golightlylaw.com, or you can email me as well. It's simply Scott, S-C-O-T-T, @golightlylaw.com. And thanks for having me.
Thank you again for coming. And I want to say, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, I know y'all ain't gonna say nothing. But because they are on this show, tell them you heard these gentlemen on Shirley T show, and call
please
them.
do.
Feel comfortable and call. See how comfortable they are being here and sharing their information. This is time away from families and friends that they've been spending time away from home. You were home away from home all this morning, all running or walking somewhere.
Yeah, that's
Because
right.
he does that.
Yeah.
But that's the reason I'm so grateful that they came on. There's a lot of things that we don't know. And they shared a lot of that tonight. We need to follow up and feel comfortable in calling these gentlemen. I can tell you, I see them at least a couple of times a month. So I know who they are in terms of being respectful to their clients. And please call if you need information about insurance, life insurance. Tell them what you do. This one right here, Jim. What you do, Jim?
I do everything now.
Yeah, okay.
I do insurance work. I do asset management, financial planning.
Financial planning
really
is what I couldn't think of.
The whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yes, yep. And this one is a lawyer.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, we need all three of them. It's tonight. It just was magnified. I think it was magnified, the need that all of us have to get things in order, and to not just because somebody is cheap. You need to know what you have. You need to know what you have. I had an uncle that died, and he had I didn't know it at the time, but he had me as the beneficiary of the policy. You turn the policy in, and because he didn't have it for a certain number of years, they sent the money he had paid on it back. You know what I'm saying? So little things like that, especially if you go down to the undertaker policy and making all these arrangements thinking people got insurance. I didn't do that, but it's just an example of that. You need to know, it's a little, like you say, till something happened, a lot of times we don't know.
Too late.
It's too late. It's definitely too late.
Hey, Shirley T,
Go ahead.
is it too late for a lawyer joke?
No,
Can I tell a
no,
lawyer?
I don't believe that. Y'all believe
Just
Scott
a-
is doing this.
just a quick
this
lawyer
is the
joke.
bomb. I love it.
I've got to tell a quick lawyer joke. Okay, the question is what's 2 plus 2? So you ask the casualty insurance guy, and he says 4. You ask the financial planner guy, and he says, let me run a spreadsheet on it. It's either 3 or 4. I'll get back to you. You ask the lawyer, and the lawyer dims the lights and turns down the shades, and he says, how much do you want it to be? So, just a quick, clean, one of the only clean ones I know.
I know Trace ain't gonna believe this.
Oh, sorry, I just wanted
This is
to.
bomb. I love it. Listen, this is a true story.
How much do you want it to
Well,
be?
you notice that we laugh a lot at this networking group here. Yes,
We have a good
do.
time.
Yes, indeed.
Thanks for letting me tell my joke.
Oh, it's wonderful. We keep it real. Y'all
We do
remember
keep
that?
it
We
real.
keep it real. Did y'all have fun?
I did.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Now these people can call y'all with any questions.
Please do.
These are business people, but they also are community people. They will help you. They're in business. They do this for business, for their livelihood. But at the same time, they're hoping that they'll gain business, of course. But they are willing to help you if you need help, and they also will service you if you need help. So I want you all to remember the names of these gentlemen, and we'll have a show next week. So if you forget their names, we'll have their business card with us and can still give out that information. Now, I still want to give you all a chance. If it's something, even if you've already said it, that you think is so critical, if you want to repeat it, we got 5 minutes. So that's maybe 4 minutes now. Okay. If you want to repeat it, just for the audience to know, based on what you do.
Ben, you want to start out with anything?
Sure. Again, my wife and I, do basic insurance, mostly property and casualty, which takes care of your property and takes care of you in a casualty situation where something bad happens and protects your income. But the thing that I would like to get across to just average people is take a look at your auto policies, take a look at your homeowner's policies to see what your absolute liability limits are. If you've got really, really low limits, that means very quickly that if you're in an automobile accident and it's your fault and you hurt somebody in the other car and they want to sue you, the first number in that little block, which says it could be 25/50, or it could be 100/300, the first number is how many thousands of dollars you have to defend yourself and to pay the judgment. If you only have $25,000, that's not even a day in an emergency.
That's what could cost to make the copies, huh?
Yeah, so if you've got somebody that's hurt at all and it's your fault, and like I said, accidents happen. That's why we have insurance, it's because of accidents. Make sure you have enough coverage on that policy that if it happens to you, that they don't come after your house and your savings accounts and things like that, because they can.
So that those numbers with the slash mean something. They should check that out.
They mean something. If you don't understand what they mean, call your insurance agent.
Okay, thank you, Ben.
Get that up front.
Okay, thank you. How about you, Jim?
I hadn't talked about this before, but one of the big concerns I have with my people that are coming up on retirement is what's happened in the markets in the last 10 years, especially where we call it the lost decade, where the stock market virtually did nothing for 10 years. And that's causing a lot of stress on people's retirement accounts. And so the questions are coming up, well, am I really able to retire when I thought I was going to? So that's one of the questions that I try to answer, or I can't answer for every person's considering retirement is, okay, if you want to do this, then this is what, your portfolio needs to do this, or you need to add to it, or yes, you're okay. You can do and enjoy the life, life at retirement that you really want to have. A lot of people have misconceptions about retirement. They think it's going to be a lot cheaper in retirement than it is when they're working, and in reality, people find out that it's not. Your expenses don't go down all that much. And a lot of times you want to do things that you couldn't do when you were working, like travel, which are very expensive, or hobbies, or they could be quite expensive. So, that's where the goal setting comes in, and actually have a plan, and it really needs to be in writing, or it's not going to work. Okay. And that's something that, we have it in writing, we have checkpoints, we can do accountability checks. If something bad happens in the market, it goes against us, we make adjustments. But we don't wait until the day before they're going to retire to do that.
That's kind of good advice.
One of those uh-ohs that we don't like to have in our business.
Okay, thank you. All right, Scott, you got anything you want to?
Yeah, sure. I guess we've got a little bit of time.
You're mighty little.
Yeah, just take the theme of tonight. I think it's fair to say that take responsibility for your own financial future. You owe it to yourself, you owe it to your family to educate yourself on what needs to be done to protect yourselves in the event of a casualty, to protect yourself in the event of your financial plan, and protect yourself against wild market swings. I mean, we're in a crazy time now. The market's all over the place. And protect yourself vis-a-vis, sorry. I didn't mean to say that without lawyers present. Protect yourself with respect to your estate plan. Get your will done. If you have minor children, take care of that right away, and I'd be happy to talk to you.
That's great. Thank you all for listening in, and thank you all for being here.
Thank you, sir.
And as Van Zandt says, when you see crazy coming, cross the street.
Thanks, Shirley.
Yes, thank you
Thanks,
all
everybody.
so much. Thanks so much. That was real good information. Real good information tonight.
Yeah.